Hello and welcome back to the cronecast at the rising moon. Okay guys, today I have for you a pick a card reading with 3 piles, and the topic is what ancestral curses do you need to resolve, what ancestral healing do you need to accomplish, what ancestor work do you need to do to continue on your spiritual evolution journey. We are all asked to resolve our ancestral trauma, which is actually just the exact same thing as ancestral curses or generational curses, as we heal. Piles 1 through 3, you'll have a moment here with the cards to just concentrate on them. See which one really calls out to you. That'll be the message you're most meant to receive. Please be aware this is one of those readings where more than one pile may be appropriate. I will see you at the time of your reading. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 1, then this is your reading. Hey, everybody's getting an activation card, and everybody is getting a Sacred Forest Oracle card as well. Other Oracle cards will be used as the reading reveals the need to them. We're taking the number 1, putting it over there so that people can easily fast forward to their reading. All right, what ancestral work do you need to do? Which means what ancestral healing, what ancestral trauma are you trying to release, and what are your ancestral curses? And they are very, very related things. And in fact, ancestral trauma is almost always the same thing as an ancestral curse. Every now and then, no, but it's so rare that it's like winning the lottery. And before I get started, guys, what do I need to say? Please subscribe. Helps my channel. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. It makes what I do here possible. And if you want to book me for a private reading that is done exclusively through @therisingmoon.com, that is my website. It is linked below. Let's get going here. I'm using a 10 card spread, actually an 11 card spread. It's called a spirit guide spread. It's one I designed, and so you're not gonna be able to look this one up. Let's get going here. We have the Page of Swords in reverse. Okay, that is interesting. That's communication. Sometimes it can be electronic communication. It can be acting before facts or in evidence, which is a big one. Oh, okay, let's keep going with this one. Remember, things like spirit attachments relating to anger and frustration and anxiety and a couple of other things are almost always present in the ancestral work that we need to do. And hey, why do you want to do that? Because it releases your energy and allows your full power to come to you. There's a stage in healing where you're like, well, screw them, they really screwed everything up. That is completely normal for your blood relatives that may have been part and parcel of compounding some damage for you. But as you heal, you become more accepting of everybody just having their own wounds, and understanding that when you heal, it sets you entirely free. And that's the point of it. That's the point of letting go of the trauma and of the pain and of the difficulty and the anger. Because sometimes when you've been so badly injured, you go forward in anger because it was the thing that saved you in the first place. It kept you from despair. It kept you from giving up. But it's a destructive element within healthy relationships, and it needs to be understood and controlled without being always repressed, meaning that you have to be like, I'm angry. Why am I angry? How do I take care of that? That's the first thing that I've got here, is that you're a little bit of fly off the handle type of gal or guy or person. And that's okay. It's just examine your life without judgment and see where it has been a destructive force in your life, because it always looks like there's regret involved with it. And so maybe just start learning how to not react with anger, because you're trying to protect yourself because you're afraid. And it's just kind of that simple. Learn the methods I would look into anger management techniques, and I would also simply start healing your root chakra. And please do not feel like you're being judged. The reason people have this energy, this cut it off at the knees energy, is because it saved them at a certain point in their life. And it was the only thing saving them. And sometimes they were surrounded by it, but frequently it's the kindest and the best people who have this kind of I have to act, I have to say, I have to do to get rid of this feeling. You're apparently dealing with an anger attachment, okay? it doesn't mean you're a bad person. You just feel things very deeply and you didn't learn the great coping tools. So start learning about them and it will help. Comes out with the Knight of Pentacles in the upright, which is a slow and steady routine around things. There is no past, present, and future in a spirit guide spread, okay? This is just like an informational. They're telling me about what's going on with you to resolve, release, and to heal, and to quite simply feel better. Having a routine around what to do when you have these negative emotions is the thing that's going to help you the very most. And by the way, you will know this has to do with your ancestral healing because you're like, yep, it was my dad, it was my uncle, it was my mom, you will be able to see the people in your life who similarly, they taught you something you need to unlearn. And is that an ancestral curse? Yes, it is, because it's an attachment to a sacral chakra. It holds back your creativity and keeps you from retaining the positive things that you create, okay? Because you have a really creative mind, but you have trouble making things see fruition because you're, like, you probably block people if they upset you even mildly and have cost yourself multiple friendships that way. That's what I've got on that. Is that you cut people off because you don't know how to handle your own emotions, and it keeps leaving you entirely alone and isolated. And so it is why it's a really good idea to learn how to cope with it. It's coming out with the Wheel of Fortune in the upright. I like that. That's a karmic card. You are resolving some accumulated. Now remember, karma is just energy carried forward, and it's lessons to be learned. It's like you learned half of this already, but just like really lean in on understanding you're not a monster. It really was the only way that you learned to make something terrible stop. Because the person trying to hurt you couldn't control you because you couldn't even control yourself. All right, so that's the key to that. I have the Page of Swords in the upright as well. I'm sorry, this must be the Knight of Swords in reverse. It's the same thing. Oh! That makes even more sense. Knight of Swords in reverse is quite frequently rage and anger. Page of Swords in the upright, which is communication. Man, you need to learn to talk to yourself about your feelings. Hey, and like, I mean really learn how to talk about them. Let them out. I had to resolve the same attachment because the people in my familial line must have all been like Highlanders and Vikings, and I'm like almost being literal here. Because it's a long-standing blow-up tradition in this particular person's genetic tree. And I did learn how to manage it and live with it and take care of it appropriately so it doesn't hurt other people or me. Your way to do that is you need to learn to talk about what's upsetting you, whether it's tapping into an old fear or an old memory. Remember, we have to allow people in our lives to change too when we're retaining a relationship. And so it's very important not to simply judge somebody by who they have been. Other people can grow and change too. Cautious optimism is warranted, okay? This is the one that you're still trying to resolve. With the Fool in reverse, okay, that's caution. Okay, there are multiple things here. It almost, everything here has to do with a tendency towards acting, speaking, or directing your anger in a way that is ultimately destructive. It makes you feel powerful in the short term, but like in afterwards, like you're left in a blown up space, and it's not something that you should be carrying forward. But it's also not a part of yourself to be ashamed of. It's to be understood and managed. Lean in on learning those processes. What to do with yourself when you are angry, which is often stop. Magnesium supplements can help tremendously. Please check with a doctor before, like, I'm not a doctor and I don't know your medical conditions. Minerals are often very, very important to anxiety and anger management, as well as frustration. Learning how to have a routine about how to drop in center into your body, even if you don't like meditating, have something that you're willing to do and have like 4 different versions of it, because you're too impulsive sometimes is what's going on as well, okay? Learning to have go-tos that are healthy, like sound baths that you listen to, or cards that you draw from. And then again, you really need to learn how to voice your feelings. And the thing that we have convinced people of that is not true is that they just want someone to listen to them while they're talking about their feelings, and then they feel better. And honest to goodness, they don't need that other person. And in fact, it slows down and weakens the process when it is dependent on another person hearing or bearing witness or showing that they care. Because it's looking to an external source to provide internal comfort. And what we need to do is learn how to do that for ourselves. And it doesn't have to be always. It doesn't have to be always, but it has to be something we can do as the first step. And only when we're truly overwhelmed, begin to seek exterior support. And why would you want to do this? Not because there's anything wrong with needing support, but because it makes you dependent on somebody else's receptivity, their mood, and whether or not they have the space and the time to help you with your feelings. And maybe there's a situation in your life where you acted really definitive, because I've got that you cut somebody off, like you're the person who burned the bridge, and now you're like, I really wish I had a way back. And you have to examine what was going on in that person's life at the time. Were you maybe asking something of somebody who did not have a lot to give? And if you were being unfair, is it appropriate to simply let them know that? Because you can't guarantee that there will be inclusion again, but what you can have is space with your own conscience, because you've done this to multiple people and you never know how to, well, now that I've healed a little bit more and I've grown a little bit more, and I realize that I'm really a hothead about cutting people off because I don't want to give them the opportunity to hurt me when they've disappointed me or haven't met a need. And kind of what you need to start doing is asking yourself, was I maybe not engaging in the healthiest practice by asking another person to take care of my feelings, whether or not it was convenient for them? Because that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like, is you cut somebody off very definitively, and that if you haven't done so yet, maybe remember what was going on in their life, that they didn't have a lot to give you because they were barely keeping their own head above water. And that is not to shame you, it's to shine a light on the what is it that I'm fixing and why? Even if that person was curt with you or did not seem to be very understanding, maybe it's because they had way too much of their own stuff and couldn't do something for you at that time. And that is why there is worth in learning how to take care of your own feelings as well. And that's just kind of what I've got on this one. I've got the Seven of Pentacles in the upright, which is a trust the process energy. You need to learn a process. You need to not communicate with people when you're angry. You like to reach out when you're angry or upset. And what you need to do is reach in. Is learn how to reach in and take care of yourself in that process so that you can be free of it. With the Six of Swords in reverse, which is closure, putting something to an end. This is exactly this. This is returning to a peaceful state as well. It's one of my cards for death. But remember that when you are having a big emotion, that is not the time to reach out to somebody. It is the time to reflect within. When we talk about responding and not reacting, it is responding to our feelings with appropriate care. This is your generational thing. You've got more than one thing, by the way, so you might want to check out some other piles, but this is the one that is the thing that keeps you so isolated, is that you feel like you're a great friend for people, but you you cut them off if they step. If you think they've been in the wrong, you don't give them a chance, and then you end up missing them. And if you could learn how to be in the space where I'm angry, but I'm going to work through that feeling rather than taking that feeling out. And you're not an abusive person, but that is the coping tool that's part of your ancestral healing, is that you're surrounded by people who have a long history of taking their feelings out on other people because they never learned how to care for them in a positive and a productive way. Comes out with the High Priestess in the upright, which is secrets being revealed. It's also that connection to the deep inner knowing. Comes out with the Five of Wands in reverse, which is peace. All right. And then I've got the Seven of Wands in reverse, which is surrender. So this ends with the caution and surrender. And here's our last card on that. I'll take that in a couple minutes. So here's your message on that. That's the last one that you're trying to resolve, is your tendency towards being reactionary. And please do not feel insulted. Honest to goodness, you learned it because it was all around you. It does not mean you have a character flaw. It just means that you learned the wrong thing, and we do that all the time. There's a societal shame around not getting it right the first time. And it's like, but that's how actual mastery is achieved. It's a very rare person that's excellent at something when they first try it. Mastering is achieved through allowing yourself to constantly improve. And the way to improve is to admit there is room for improvement. Am I getting the outcomes that I want? No, not quite yet. And without shame, blame, or dislike of self, because that's where you're struggling, is you have a hard time looking at yourself and going, man, I really do that, without making it like turn a corner into why would anybody want me or want me around? Because you're funny, you're bright, you're generous, you're a giving human being. It's just you've learned a poor coping skill because of your ancestral and generational trauma. And just set about unlearning it. Learn your process. With the Three of Wands in the upright, which is the ship coming in card, which is to bring you more opportunities. And if you felt a little bit like an island, it is because this is the thing you have to learn. This is the thing you have to learn. 1, 2, 3. And the other thing is that, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I have CPTSD. I will laugh sometimes when something bumps into my own stuff. So that's what that chuckle thing is. Therapists and like other like trained health professionals are like, yeah, we know what that's a sign of. It's like, yeah, I know, but not everybody does. That has what has cost you in the past, is that you learned how to repress your feelings and not act on them, like not be this anger or rage ball. But then you know what you struggle with? Forgiveness. Because you're not allowing yourself to have the feeling. It just sits in there and it seethes and it seethes. And so when somebody does mess up around you, you have a really hard time ever forgiving them, even after they've apologized, because you won't deal with the anger. You just bottled it up when it was happening, okay? Oh, pretty activation card. Miracle and discernment. Let's go. I'm going to hold this up here because if you stop and screenshot that, it will still have the energy. And this one is discernment. I have to actually quit talking because if you've ever seen me on camera on my podcast or anything, I move around a lot. So the frequency of miracles supports our belief in ourselves as part of source, and therefore our belief that anything is possible. Please do not dislike this part of you. It saved you. It's okay. It's just, it's not, you're safe with other people now. You've healed. You don't attract the same type of people. And you want to quit driving people away. The frequency of discernment supports our ability to view the world and the people around us from a place of inner balance and detachment, yet with compassion and wisdom. So this is so on the nose. The responding, not reacting energy that I'm always blathering on about, and that will resolve your generational trauma and your generational curses. Because a generational curse carries forward for 10 generations. So sometimes it is just that people lived on the wrong land, which happens a lot. People have lived on the wrong land, and because they're of the same blood of people who wronged, usually an indigenous people who called upon some elemental magic to make sure that like they were going to carry forward, having to learn to deal with their own demons is essentially what this is. Is it a real demon? It's a spirit attachment, it's a non-human entity, and you do not need to be afraid of it because it bears that name. Because they're easy to vanquish, you just have to be stronger than them. You'll have to learn a process that doesn't allow it to take root and to influence you. So the Three of Wands, more will come to you when you have a handle on that part of you. And again, please just don't think that you're being shamed, you're being informed here. Let's get a sacred forest. 1, 2, 3. What else have we got for pile number 1? That's the thing you need to work on. That's an ancestral curse that costs in business, in personal life, in social acceptance, is inability to be peaceful. Like you're a little too prone to like picking up your sword and battling. And sometimes you're battling your allies and driving them away. Meandering pathway, flow. I like that one. I'm going to get one more on this one. Because that's what you're trying to learn how to do, is like go with the flow within and without, to have less of a need to make things happen, to make yourself feel better. Earth stability, strength. Earth spirit, which is stability. Love that. It's just balance. All of this is part of balance. You may actually have some people in your familial line who struggle with chemical imbalances or emotional mood disorders, and that's the way that these generational curses can also manifest. Let's go with Quantum Oracle. What else do we have for pile number 1? And what happens when you heal these things, when you resolve them? Oh, by the way, I did a Law of Attraction podcast where it talks about ancestor offerings. Please check that out. I'll link it here at the end, because it talks all about how to do offerings. Offerings are another way to resolve ancestral curses, by the way. Why? Because you're calling in the energy of your ancestors to invite them in for forgiveness and inclusion, and with inclusion is integration, which is integration with self, which is no longer ignoring the shadow side, but caring for it appropriately, which is what healing is. Fear, yeah, it comes from a fear-based place. The honoring path, and then ascended masters with one more, kindred partnership. Okay. The honoring path is standing out in front of others and doing what you're meant to. It's a life's purpose card, ascended masters. You have more gifts that will come online as well when you have learned how to cope with your internal world in a way that is kind to you and also kind to others. Because honest to goodness, this is not your pile unless this describes you. You have distanced multiple people in your life because you've had an angry reaction, and then you either don't know, you avoid them because you're ashamed. You don't know how to apologize without it making you feel horrible about yourself, without it being like, hey, I was just going through something, I understand if you can't forgive me. But I didn't mean to. It's something I'm working on. You don't know how to do that part in a way that doesn't, it's hard. Your anger helped you. And that's why you don't want to resolve it entirely, because it does still need to be there. It just needs to be there in a baby form. Like, it's like you're trying to take a full-grown dragon and walk it back until it's just the dragon getting out of the egg, poking its little beak out, being like, I hear you, I'm getting a tiny bit angry. And knowing what to do with that so that the full thing doesn't spring forth full-fledged and burning the village to the ground, okay? Really, really clumsy metaphor there, or simile, or whatever the heck it was. But that's what we're talking about, is learning how to be the master of that without repression, which just makes people sick, being the thing that you reach for. Let's go with some activation cards too. And we're going to close this one out here. So pile number 1, you're resolving an anger, attachment, and a curse that will cause your anger to cost you the gains that you have made personally and professionally over and over again until you resolve it. We have, oh, it's funny, a sacral portal. That's where anger comes from. That's why I was like, hey, look at that. Creativity, intimacy, and intuition, and then it's coming out with the third eye portal. Vision, clairvoyance, clarity, and confusion is the energy, the inhibition energy. We need inhibitions that are not about repression, but you do not need to repress your feelings. When you feel them stir, you're like, hey, you know, I'm a little tired, to take some time off, or I need a snack, or you learn how to take care of it without taking it out on yourself and other people. And to do so with love and kindness, because all it is a little kid inside of you who learned that you had to be a cornered dog that would start biting for the predators to start leaving you alone. And that's where it came from. Just recognize that and love it, because it was just a rudimentary tool that was reached for, that you now need to hone into something that has surgical precision in your life, so that you can take care of yourself without continually isolating yourself by distancing people. Okay? File number 1, that was your reading and that was your message. Take care, be well. You want to book me for a private reading, you can do so at therisingmoon.com. Please don't forget to look for my podcast, Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica, where I tell you how to heal almost everything in your attachment style and your emotional well-being for free. And some of it involves telling you what recordings to listen to. Some of the people that I've had on but please goes towards that, particularly if you're struggling financially. A lot of people are struggling financially now. I really, really believe that we need to make healing as available as humanly possible to as many as humanly possible. So check that out because it's a free resource. Take care. Be well. Hi, welcome back. This is pile number 2. If you chose pile number 2, we're putting that over there. People can easily fast forward to their reading, but there are, as always, timestamps in the description box down below. Everybody's going to get a Sacred Forest Oracle. Everyone's going to get an activation card, potentially 2, depends on how many come out, frankly. And then other Oracle cards may become involved as the reading reveals the need for them. I am doing a Spirit Guide spread, which is a spread I designed, so it's got 11 cards in it. Here we go. Let's get going here. What's going on for pile number 2? What ancestral healing are they accomplishing? What shadow work involving ancestral curses? It's also generational trauma and generational curses. All of these energies are interrelated. I never mind a generational curse because all you have to do to break those suckers is heal, but it can mean there's a lot of effort in healing. So what are we doing for pile number 2? All right, let's get going here. This is, I believe, the Cirque du Tarot. Yeah, it is. 4 of Pentacles in the upright. It's a miser's energy. Okay, let's see. Your fears may be expressed by hoarding money, which please don't take that as a character judgment. It's not. Please look at your familial line. Please understand that you're not being told that you're a bad person. It's just that you were taught something that will cause you to retain energies, and it will make it much harder for you to be in flow. It'll make it a lot harder for you to enjoy your life, so it's worth examining. That comes out with the 6 of Swords in reverse, which is putting an end to something, closure. Can be a card for death as well. I have the 3 of Swords in reverse, which is a healing energy. Page of Wands in the upright. Okay. All right. Ace of Wands in reverse. All right. So let me talk about this first row. It is really difficult for you to step into a new chapter of your life because you are clinging to an outmoded way of thinking about security. Please remember, this is true generational stuff. If you grew up with people who told you you always had to have savings and you needed to own a house and you needed to, please understand that that structure does not benefit you at this time, and that you're going to have a happier experience and fewer problems with frustration because you get frustrated easily. You're actually a really nice person, but you get frustrated very easily. And again, it's one of these very fear-based energies where it's your relationship to money that you need to examine. Money is to make things easier in life. And it is not meant to be hoarded so that you can hold it up like a shield. If I have 3 years in the bank, that means I'm safe from calamity. That is not what it means. It was a message that was imparted to you, likely because you have ancestors from parts of the world where economic deprivation defined their lives in a way that it doesn't for you. It doesn't for you. You're living your life in a very frightened energy. What this can come from, as a for instance, is somebody who grew up with someone who went through the Great Depression, which that was a radically difficult time, and it went on for a long time, and it like warped people's psyches basically around what the quality of life needed to be be worth living. Because here's the thing, if tough times come, you figure it out. Like, that's the resourcefulness energy that got turned in a wrong direction and became one of, I will just grasp and hold on to everything that I have with my entire might because this is the solution that I need for future problems. No, it's not. It is actually simply you figure out solutions as problems arise. You worry yourself half to death trying to get the problems before they're half here, like for real. Like you put too much effort and energy into what's coming up to get me and less energy into I should really heal and understand that I know what I need to do when I need to do it, and I have to heal my faith in myself. that what really happens with this energy, this miser's energy of holding on to what you have, is that it doesn't make your life better. You actually don't like it about yourself because, like, you know that being cheap is like, it's kind of a icky thing, you know? It's like if you go out with somebody and they're cheap, it's like, ugh, it's unattractive. And you don't like it about yourself, but it's so inherently woven into your foundational belief about life that you're cheap with yourself and kind to others is kind of what it looks like. Please remember that every day for the last, I want to say 3-4 years, something weird seems to happen. Like, we rarely go a full week without, it's like, what's happening now? Oh my God, it's flooding in New York. Are you kidding? There's something weird every time we turn around. You're not going to be able to make yourself safe from the world around you by holding every dollar you get a hold of as a prisoner. Spend your money to make your life better. And it's okay to be like frugal. It's okay to like kind of groove on a bargain. Like that's not what I'm talking about. It's that make sure that you are living a life that provides you with comfort and ease if you're able to. Please stop trying to ward off the demons of the future with the money that you won't spend in the present. And it comes to you from psychological damage from people who, like, in some instances, this goes far back enough that, like, people were starving in famines and things. And so they try to hoard things to feel better, to feel safer. And every person I know who had food insecurity as a kid, and I did, has a really hard time eating the last of anything, because then it's gone and there's no guarantee that more will come. Or like it's been a very big thing, like you save things for a special occasion. Please live your life like every day contains some form of special occasion where it's worth celebrating life, because it will make you so much happier. And you will learn to live with I'll figure it out when I need to, of the ups and downs of fortune sometimes. It'll help so much. It'll help so much. Your tendency towards overwork looks better, by the way, but it like makes you afraid. It makes you feel like you're being irresponsible rather than learning how to enjoy life. So there's a little bit of reframing that needs to go in around how you're approaching your existence as well. For goodness sake, have some fun. Nothing is guaranteed in life, okay? But if you're here, you have always had the mental wherewithal to solve your problems. It's the thing that you do is because you know that about yourself is, my God, you try to solve problems you don't have. You try to solve problems you don't have yet because this could go wrong and this could go wrong. And if you're in my collective, you're a very psychic person. And please remember, this will always remain true. If it ends in a period, it is your intuition. It is a definitive statement about what you should do. If it ends in a question mark, it's your fear or your anxiety. What if this happens? That is not intuition. Your intuition does not exist to freak you out. It exists to inform you. So it will not torture you, because honest to goodness, fear blocks intuition almost more than anything. I have the Nine of Pentacles in the upright, which is privilege and spending money and living life like you're a privileged human being. Listen, all over the world, all kinds of really, really difficult things are happening. If you live in a place with running water and a reasonable expectation that you will not get shot when you walk out of your front door, for goodness sake, celebrate your life. Celebrate your life, because that is a beautiful thing that is truly not available to everybody. And it's not because they don't deserve that level of safety. It's because our world sometimes does not deliver that safety. If you have some safety in your life, relax into it and know that it's like, well, I'm already pretty lucky because look where I am comparatively. I'll just keep trusting myself to figure out what I need to as I need to. Judgment in reverse, that is with my Six of Swords in reverse. Okay, new karmic cycles, poor judgment too. Man, you're hard on yourself. The Devil in reverse. I'm sorry, the Devil in the upright. Let's get the other two down before I talk anymore. Four Wands is an attachment with the Six of Pentacles in reverse as well. Would you maybe buy yourself a present, please? Like, for real, buy yourself a present that will have true meaning for you. And I don't mean, like, it doesn't have to be something extravagant. It can be a meal that you really like. Maybe go out to dinner. Maybe get your favorite form of takeout. Maybe treat yourself. Like, your money is in your life to make it better rather than to become the thing that you focus on that exclude. Here's what it does. You focus on it so much sometimes that you miss all the great stuff in your life, all the cool things, all the ways in which you're getting better, all the ways in which you're getting happier. And that comes out with the Three of Wands in reverse. Interesting. Which is choices, having a menu of choice available to you and choosing from them. In like relationships, that's an open relationship card for my people who do not read reversals and are trying to. Sooner or later, I will have a Patreon. One of the things I plan on teaching is reversal meanings. I truly don't understand how people read tarot without reading reversals. But I'm sure they say the exact same thing. It's like, I don't understand how anybody reads a reversal. Because they're not negative. It's not a negative thing. It doesn't work like that. It's just a different meaning. Make good choices. Please make good choices around making your life a little bit better. Like, if all of your clothes are shabby, let yourself buy a cute little, like, something. Like, if you can afford it, and here's the thing, you think it's wildly irresponsible to spend money that you have. Like, if I'm not saving it, then I'm in the wrong. I beg of you to listen to me on, like, just look at the news just recently, and this is a timeless reading. They're always timeless. But it's going to keep holding true because it's the state of the world. We have an energetic imbalance in our world that causes all kinds of, like, chaotic disruptions. Enjoy your life. Quit planning for every... Please stop putting more weight on the future than you do on your present in the choices that you make. And that is not to throw all caution to the wind. This is very much a do not throw all caution to the wind energy. But you've been healing potentially from codependency. And please remember that once you've resolved all forms of codependency with people in your life, you can still have a codependent relationship with money, with substances, with all kinds of things. So maybe that'll help you, because like you wanted to get rid of codependency and everything having to do with it, like you read about. Maybe examine it for how you treat money. Okay? That it's a codependent thing when you're hanging on to money to try and make yourself feel safe. I need that to feel safe. Need-based things have a basis in codependency. Let's get your activation cards. 1, 2, 3. Here's my feeling on it. I think you're actually doing better than you used to, but you needed to just hear that. Is that you didn't, like, that's maybe the first time you've ever heard that you can kind of be codependent with a number in a bank, where your personal happiness, your personal well-being, your sense of ease or belief in self is super dependent on and I'm not talking my bank balance is dead flat. I'm talking you need to see savings in like the future at a level that like the world does not indicate is appropriate, considering we got a lot going on and stuff is changing because it has to change. We have, authority. The frequency of authority reminds us that true authority is powerful, directed, and realized, yet receptive, wise, and loving. I'm going to hold that as still as I can. Obviously, I suck at holding things still. Because if you stop and concentrate on that, it's an activation card. That's a wise choices card. That's the Emperor's card. It's also, please understand that this last part is the most important part. Receptive, wise, and loving. Please enjoy your life more, even if it means you have to spend money sometimes. You don't have to become... You might have had somebody in your family who was super irresponsible with money. Or in your past, you might have been super irresponsible with money. I need you to hear something. If you've gone in the opposite direction, that is not being healed. It means you need to find your balance. Everything exists in balance. And why is this an ancestral curse? Because it's on your family line and it was something that was programmed into you. And you didn't have people around you who have a healthy relationship to money. They likely overvalued money and undervalued people, which is the most common form of this that I see, is that they will hurt the feelings of those around them. And like, I'll give you an example from like when I was married to the person that I ended up leaving, who was like a very serious miser. he legitimately expected us to not sleep in an air-conditioned house because it might break the air conditioner. Because he'd been misinformed about how air conditioners work, quite frankly. And he just thought that the answer was not, well, then we should probably replace it or get it repaired if it breaks, because we are human beings and we need rest. Like, he didn't get that part. It was like, hold on to this excess of money rather than be properly rested. And it's like, okay, well, that's one of the contributing factors to why there was a breakdown of that relationship. If you treat money like it's more important than people, the people around you will feel that, and it will distance them, okay? Treat the people around you that you wish to have in your life and you wish to retain with kindness and deference and responsibility. Because you're trying to responsible your way into safety. And things will come as they are meant to. Things are coming as they are meant to. Just try to relax and have your choices reflect a desire to enjoy your life rather than treat your life like a chore that you're trying to get through, because that's a bit what you're struggling with, okay? We have belief. The frequency of belief supports our sense of self-worth based on our gifts and talents and a strong connection to Source. You are worth more than your bank balance. And it isn't that you should spend your last dime and the divine will provide. It's just that is not what the person here is doing. The person here is not ever allowing themselves to fully relax, because they've attached their emotional happiness to, without being a greedy person, this is not a greed aspect, they've attached their emotional happiness to the idea of, I need a certain amount. And it's like, are you sure maybe you don't already have what you need? And that maybe you just don't let yourself have as much fun as you could? Let's go. It's not irresponsible to enjoy your life. There is actually, if you're from one of those families where it was letting go, Spirit of Autumn, this is security energy as well, letting go. If you're from one of those families where like passing down wealth was really, really, really like what were you going to leave behind, I will tell you really, really honestly that every family that I have encountered that did that, it caused the worst behavior in people afterwards, because it's a form of greed attachment. You're not being called greedy. You're being told this is an envy attachment, that it corrupts, like you're this great human being otherwise, but you don't treat yourself properly if there's a price tag attached to it, okay? And you're the only person you're doing it to, by the way. Like you will be generous to others, but like you're a little mean with yourself sometimes. We have, Eagle Spirit, freedom. I like that as well. So that's the last one you need to be freed from, by the way, is just improving the health of your relationship to money. That's the thing that you're working on to have full access to your power, including your ability to manifest more money, which like may have been something that you've been super duper focused on and wondering like, am I broken? Why won't it work? Why isn't this coming to me? Because you don't have a healthy relationship to money yet. And the only way to have a healthy relationship to money is to understand, well, I think that I'm going to be able to do this. That is faith in myself, belief in myself. That's the belief energy. Every time that you are penny pinching to try and like make sure that you're earning the future that isn't even here, you're actually doubting that you're going to be able to do something that is important to you. Please believe in yourself. Like, pretty much everybody who knows you does, right? Like, you're probably one of those people who's heard over and over again how special and remarkable you are, and like, you're like, you kind of don't believe it, and because you know your faults best, because we all do. It's like everybody sees a picture of themselves and immediately is like, they look for what looks terrible on them rather than going, my hair looks cute. Like, it's just, we've been programmed to do that. You're going to be able to succeed. You're going to be able to succeed. And if things are a little tight right now, ask yourself, are they tight in reality, or are they tight because I don't like letting go of money once I get a hold of it? Let it come and go. Let it come and go. Just relax, okay? Oh, my. Women holding a heart, appreciation, caring connections, and Uriel. Seems to come mostly from your maternal side, but that's not going to be for everybody. It's definitely a woman in your life who screwed up your idea around money to begin with. So it comes from, it's got a very, it's almost like the opposite of nurturing. Like maybe if you don't consider yourself a super nurturing person, maybe examine your relationship to money, because like I said, you hold it up like a shield. You're a little guarded in a bunch of areas of your life. You're doing much better though. And like you're much closer to breakthroughs than you tend to believe, okay? You get really disappointed in yourself whenever you discover there's still something that you're working on. I need you to get really comfortable with this. That may be a lifelong journey, because like we don't get to a state of like, no, I am perfect. We're always trying to evolve into our highest form and our highest consciousness and the highest emotions that we can achieve, like love and compassion and kindness and generosity. And like there's always a little bit more to grow when we're in this form. It's not about you being bad. It's that, this is a normal influence within human beings, and we just have to learn how to coexist with it until we have a thriving relationship with it. What do we have here? We have emergence, creation, resurrection, magician. And please remember, it blocks magic. Being a miser blocks magic. Because it is an attachment. It's a rigidity. Rigidity always does. And this does not apply to anybody who is truly financially suffering here. It's just this person isn't, but because they don't believe that 10 years from now they will have absolutely everything they need, they hold on too tightly to what's in their present. We have harmonic resolution, negativity, anger, and transmutation. All right. There are some issues with anger in this collective as well, and learning how to cope with it and embrace it as like almost the thing that strikes your match, but like you have to learn how to not let it burn down your village. I've been having a weird day with like all kinds of strange analogies. Group number 2, your relationship to money is what's being addressed. I think it's been called out in group number 2 before. I don't think it's been phrased to you in the way that you needed to hear it until now. And that is, look at your family line. It is the ancestral curse that is on the generational curse that you're dealing with is a really poor relationship to money, and just learning to have a healthy one, to spend appropriately, to also practice some self-love and self-belief when it comes to, well, if I technically have enough for, let's use like 3 years right now. If I technically have enough for 3 years right now, do I really, I'm going to be able to figure out what I need to bring in more within 3 years? I'm just still healing something. Talk to yourself appropriately, enjoy your life a little bit more. It'll help release that remaining attachment. Because you get freaked out over money, and it triggers fear that then leads to anger, because that's how you've learned how to cope with fear in the past, is like to get your gumption up, to get riled up. And instead, maybe just examine the fear for whether or not it's maybe that's something I need to heal. Maybe that's something in my family. Maybe that is a long-running wound within, is that we've never had enough because we haven't learned a healthy relationship with what money does in life. And it is a tool. It is a tool, but it is not the end goal. And Ariana Platten, who was on my podcast, said that in something that she wrote, and I was like, I like that so much, I am adopting it permanently. Money is a tool. It is not the end goal. Group number 2, that was your reading. Keep healing that. Your energy otherwise looking clear, okay? Looking clear. Just look at that one, okay? Take care. Be well. Welcome back. If you chose pile number 3, this is your reading. I'm putting the number 3 over there so that people can easily fast forward to their reading, but there will be timestamps in the description box down below, as always. This is a Sacred Forest card. Everyone's going to get one of those. This is an activation card. Everybody else got 2 so far, so I guess maybe we'll stick with that. We'll see what goes on here. Group number 3, what's the ancestral karma, the ancestral trauma, the ancestral curses, or the generational curses that you are resolving. And these can be like attachments on your family line. Try and think of it that way. That can be helpful. Let's get going here. This is the Pre-Raphaelite deck, I believe. Pretty challenging on the major arcana for people. You have to have a really strong sense of what the cards are, because this is a vaguely confusing deck. I love it. It's beautiful. Just be aware of that. We are using a spirit guide spread, which is 10 cards with the 11th card as a clarifier. Please don't forget to subscribe. If you could hit the thumbs up button, that's helpful as well. And if you want to book me for a private reading, that is done through @therisingmoon.com. That is my website. It's the only way to book me. Link to it in the description box down below. Let us go here. 2 of Pentacles in the upright. Things coming out in a balanced state. All right. Making ends meet. 6 of Pentacles in the upright. Another card of balance. Fascinating. 6 of Swords in the upright. Relaxation, leaving difficult things behind, sailing towards smoother waters. Fascinatingly, like, this is looking good. Maybe you're in a pretty healed state. With Queen of Cups in reverse. Okay. 2 Cups in reverse, okay. Weird. So you're going to have some vulnerabilities around some things you've already addressed. Like, you know, you have to work to keep yourself in balance. You have a hard time standing down on things, relaxing appropriately, but like you're working hard on everything. Your intuition should be getting better and better. The thing that I'm noticing is that, like, you keep people a little bit too distant. That's the thing that you're trying to... That's the poor coping technique that led to generational trauma, which is essentially the same energy as a generational curse. Let's talk about where generational curses come from. Sometimes they're in an energy that is carried forward because people learn poor coping tools and they injure others with them, and it creates a karmic debt, and it carries forward and it carries forward. Sometimes it involves, like, the one I see very frequently is a man-stealer curse and that lasts for 10 generations, and like it's very, very complicated. The way to heal generational curses is to heal, and then if you have something on you that is actually cursing your luck and like holding you back, you ask the person who cast the curse originally's guides. So you appeal to the guides of the original spellcaster to look into your heart, to look into your intent, to examine who you are, and to release you from this karmic curse because you don't deserve it. And how do you get there? You heal. You heal. You heal and you act in a way that is in service to your highest self. I don't think that there's a generational curse on this one. I think it's generational trauma that carried karma forward with it. And that, like, there were probably a lot of secrets kept within your household. And so you maintain a lot of distance with people. Like, you may not share easily with friends. You may have a borderline distrust of other people because you lived with people who weren't very trustworthy. 10 of Cups in the upright. Wow. Okay. These are great cards. 10 of Swords in reverse. I like that. 10-10 complete cycles on things. You've done a lot of your work. You will be on a maintenance program around it. Remember, once you have a vulnerability and you kind of, I reinforce it so that your foundation is stronger, you have work to do around it. You have to remind yourself. You'll eventually inhabit it, like, fairly effortlessly, but it's a conscious choice for a long time. But you've resolved a lot more than you think you have. With the 9 of Cups in the upright, these are great cards. I have the 5 of Cups in the upright, which is loss, weeping more. Oh, okay. And then the 8 of Pentacles in the upright. We're going to take our final one there. You've mastered so many of these things, but you don't let people get very close to you. It is great to be happy by yourself. But it appears to me that you associate connecting with other people with, like, ripping your heart out. I think what you don't understand is that all of this work that is reflected over here, and, like, by the way, well done. I mean that very sincerely. That's a lot of work. You've learned good boundaries. You're not as vulnerable to people as you used to be. You don't have to worry that people are going to be a source of pain. All of that stuff that you took all this time to heal was to teach you how to have good perspective in handling people, you let things go much better. Things are, by the way, like in a happening area, in terms of like a lot of stuff, like having completed a lot of things already, but you keep yourself distant from other people. That comes out with the Queen of Pentacles in the upright as well. Queen of Pentacles like has hearth and home. She can do it all. She's like I say she's one of my favorite queens because she's the one you want around in an emergency. That particular person, and it's not gender specific. I've gone into this so many times. I'm going to say it again. The court cards do not indicate gender. They indicate an energy that is associated with the divine masculine or the divine feminine. That is how gender functions in tarot. It is not a gender-specific thing. This particular energy is a very secure person. Somebody who knows that I don't need to know what's coming up because when things arise, I handle them appropriately. And if I have inconvenient feelings with that, I know how to talk to myself. I know how to handle it. This is somebody living in a very healthy energy, but you appear to isolate yourself quite a bit. You appear to isolate yourself quite a bit. And it's, in this case, it's like, well, what do you want to do with that? I guess the next time somebody tries to be a little bit closer to you is not view it as a potential, like, peril. You had to grieve so much around your connections with people. Meandering Pathway, Flow, and then Daffodil Fairy, New Beginnings. It's like things want to start again in your life, but, like, you need awareness around this. Is that, like, you're meant to include people in your life more than you like to. And just to be open and receptive, because that's part of manifestation as well. Like all the stuff that you've been hoping for, you really have. Like you've mastered your feelings in so many ways. This is also a card of proportionate response. Because it's also called, the Five of Cups is also called the crying over spilt milk card. Because in the traditional Rider-Waite, the person is focusing on what they have lost and they're crying, and behind them are two cups that are still standing up. There's still goodness in life, things still remain, but their focus is on what's, what they've lost rather than what retains, which we have to do while we're healing. Like if you've done that in the past, please give yourself permission to be like, that makes sense, I was in a lot of pain. But if you're not in a lot of pain now, please don't think that you never can be close to another person because people might have been the source of the pain in the first place. Because it wasn't really the pain. It wasn't really the people causing the pain. Bear with me. You had been around damaging people your whole life. And so you view people as damaging. And you didn't learn how to take care of yourself in a way that keeps you in balance and gives you perspective on what people do about in their own lives. You're in a much better energy around understanding, like what somebody does or says is usually about what's going on with them. Like if you're good with who you are, then keep going. Let it go, let it go. Understand that like people can control us with our feelings. And I think that might have happened to you. And that's why you associate connection with anybody as being like, well, why would I ever let somebody attempt to kill me or hurt me, or like, because this is a very traumatized energy. Because there's more to people than being damaging. And if that isn't what you know about connection, boy, is there a beautiful world waiting to open up to you if you just would let it a little bit. Now, does everybody have to be connected to somebody? No. It's not about having close personal friends. It's about connecting to life and the good things in it and viewing people not as just... If you see somebody and you like them, but a part of you is like, I wonder what they're hiding, frequently they're not hiding anything. They may have their own stuff to deal with, but it does not follow that everyone is duplicitous because they have faults. They have things that they're trying to heal. Try to view people with a more optimistic eye. Solar plexus chakra. The frequency of the solar plexus, the yellow flower of light, supports our sense of self, our personal power, and our willpower, as well as our knowing of who we are and what our contribution is to the whole. This is a card of personal power. I think that I think that your circumstances as a younger person set you up to have connections that would be very damaging to you. And that it was because you didn't learn good boundaries and you didn't see good things, and you had to like do the work as an adult to put together like a socialization kit that would keep you safe and keep you happy. None of that is your fault. But the people who are attracted to you and who are in your life, most of those relationships, if you examine them, you would have backed away from them with what you know now. But now you back away from everybody because you assume it's in everybody. And there are areas that could use improvement in literally every human soul who is out there. And that's normal. We can't be perfect in this storm. We're fallible. We let our lesser natures lead us sometimes. But everybody has a higher self too. And maybe don't assume that people are, like I said, concealing or being duplicitous when they also have their faults. It's just that they have their shadow side too. You don't trust people any longer. And try to remember that you will never have to trust others. You just have to trust you to spot people when they really are up to something. But like, call it even 50-50. Give people the benefit of the doubt to a safe degree, but don't walk into every situation doubting the other person as being potentially a toxic form of connection to you. Allow yourself to see the good in people again, because it's still there. All right, we have allowance. Whoa, that's weird. Different. The frequency of allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way. This is freaky. The frequency of allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way, without judgment, without opinion, without fear, and without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wondrous dance of existence and expansion. So you need to allow more into your life, okay? That's just the thing. It can be difficult because, like, if you don't... I like talking about subjects, as if, for instance, I'm not a chit-chatty person. And so my friendships usually are about the interests that we have, because I like talking about subjects. And it's not like I never talk about people's personal lives with them, but like my friendships start from a place of shared interest. And like, allow yourself to just connect a little bit more. You don't need to be cold or distant to be protected, and just kind of remember that part. And why is this a generational thing? Because you've got people who self-isolate. You've got people who self-isolated for safety, potentially for very long periods of their lives, seeking simply a form of peace that was actually just kind of an energetic death. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You don't have to change your habits. You don't have to make false friendships. It's just maybe as you move throughout the world, allow yourself to look at people with interest to see what wonderful things they are, rather than trying to guard against what terrible things they might be. Because there's a lot of really good people in this world. And you will feel better if you allow yourself to connect. And when you start allowing yourself to connect a little bit more, then more people will come back towards you, okay? I have, fire spirit energy, very interesting, with Mystic Meadow Sanctuary. I want one more on this. Uncertainty, Thicket of Thorns. Okay, so that's kind of what I got, is that this particular energy, the thing that you're trying to heal around your generational trauma and your generational curses, is a tendency toward, like, in families it can be clannishness, where we really don't get too close to anybody but in our families, and then you don't know so much toxicity is in the family quite frequently. Clannishness, like excluding connections with others, just compounds, makes things fester. It doesn't give you the breath of fresh air and the new perspective that is often needed. Just allow yourself more connection, is all this pile seems to be saying, is a little bit more openness around the idea of being around other human beings, and not seeing them as sources of pain. Because this energy is really healed, and like if you're not healed, then unfortunately, like if this doesn't describe you currently, you achieve happiness very easily and regularly at this point. You're still working with trying to handle like stress out of nowhere, like surprisingly stressful things that are actually just minor deals. Can still throw you for a little bit of a loop, but you're like you're going with it. You're figuring it out. You've made a lot of progress on this journey. But you're asking what's the last thing that you're trying to resolve, and it is that you are self-isolating, seeking safety. You are self-isolating, and please, this will make sense to you. Look into your family history. Were there people who spent a really long time doing things like being single after a bad breakup, or a divorce, or a death? Are they very much the blood is thicker than water, and like even when your relatives are terrible to you, you still owe them things because they're your relatives, rather than being like, I remove myself from this toxic situation because I do not wish to be poisoned? If this describes your family line, this is the attachment, is that you don't allow yourself, you have a fear of intimacy that isn't about sex. It's about allowing yourself to see other people as being potential allies, friends, and better connections with more fun in them. And that's all it is. And is it romance for everybody? No. Like, there's no hint of romance here. It doesn't... If you want it to be romance, it can be romance. If you don't want romance, don't worry about it. But it is allowing yourself to show yourself authentically to others again, because you're in a very guarded position. That's all. But everything else looks awesome. Like, you've done so much work on this. You just have to master your ability to connect to others again. And then you will be in the Queen of Pentacles energy. And remember, we're going to revisit why gender is meaningless in tarot. Because in tarot, the queens are gestating something, meaning it's about to be born into reality, the new beginnings energy. And the kings are when they manifest. And so this is the energy that you will be in. Everything will be ready to come to you when you simply do a little bit of work on that. It's going to be like this area where you have to be a little bit in touch with your feelings and having a good process, but like you recognize your stuff and you take care of it better. Just attempt to start seeing people as potentially good and healthy connections within your life. And that's all you have to do, is like start talking about it a little bit differently. Like, here's the thing, please don't decide you're gonna be alone for the rest of your life or something. Like, that is the most rigid structure. And it doesn't mean you ever have to have another partner. It means that you are receptive to the flow, the flow of the universe and what it's trying to bring you. Allowing things, that's receptivity. And then this is your personal power. Is let the future take the shape it's meant to take. And if you meet people, it's okay if like you're different. The right people will come into your life, but like right now, it's not like you have the door barred and barricaded to any truly meaningful connection, because as near as I can tell, it hurt you so much that you didn't think you were going to be okay for a while. And now that you're okay, it's like delightful. I'm okay. I do feel more like me. Yay. I would never ever do that again, because why would I ever risk it? Because it contains joy. And the generational trauma is self-isolating to achieve emotional safety. That's what it is. It is people who self-isolate or become clannish or only value family and like kind of screw everybody else. It's that creating a bubble around either your family unit, although it's very likely to have involved being single because there's 2 cups in reverse. That people just gave up on connecting to other people, potentially for very long periods of their lives. Give yourself the chance to have the Maiden, a new relationship blossoms. The Dragon, strength and wisdom. The Oracle, seek wisdom and guidance from elders. The Seer, follow your intuition, serendipity, bright new prospects are on the horizon. That's what was on the cut. It's like I have a nail and a hammer and I just keep hammering on the same thing. That's the one that you have to address and you never have to do anything, but you want to heal and to have a good experience and access to all of your personal power. And it is great to be independent. It is wonderful and it is necessary. 100% it is necessary to be able to rely on self. But you do not need to self-isolate in order to be able to do that. And I've just got this really badly burned by other friendships as well, where like people kept treating you like their unpaid therapist. And so you kind of don't like to connect to people because you associate friendships with being burdened. Because whether or not your friend's meant to, if you're not somebody who speaks easily about your feelings and you had to learn how to do that for yourself, you may not be someone who's super comfortable when other people are emotionally sharing, and so you're a fixer. And so that's why it's exhausting. You're using all of your mental energies trying to take care of other people and fix their problems. That's not what friendships are. Friendships are about good times, and sometimes it's emotional support, but it's a balance. It's a balance. If you've always had those caretaking relationships, it's just because you had to learn better boundaries and better self-caring techniques, okay? What do you got here? Emotional freedom, vulnerability, flowing, rebalancing. And inspirational creation, alchemy, the elements, innovation. More power is trying to come to you as well. It's not that you won't be a powerful person by yourself. It's not that. It's just that you want to resolve some things. Even if healing was one of the most difficult things you ever did, like you can likely see the validity of the journey from this standpoint, because this person's in pretty good shape. Like for real, they're able to achieve an emotional flow and an emotional balance. They may have a trauma disorder, which a lot of people do, but you've learned how to cope with it. But you've closed off too many dreams because people hurt you too much, and you simply need to allow yourself. And you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but maybe start talking about your future differently, about like who you might get to know, and who knows, maybe I'll meet the perfect person. It's weird when you heal from codependency. It's like, well, like putting too much focus on relationships was bad for me. That does not then mean that putting no focus on relationships is good for you. It's isolating and it's distancing, and it exacerbates depression. Isolation is bad for depression. And just try to connect in the ways that you can. Maybe join interest groups online. Maybe look, if you only like talking about subjects, look for things that are discussing your favorite TV programs or on TikTok, and being able to converse a little bit. Open yourself up a little bit more. I think that you don't, is that you stop yourself from participating and you're turning life into a spectator sport. And it is a familial thing, and you should be able to trace it. And if it doesn't describe your family, or it doesn't describe what you're doing, then it's not your pile. But if it does, please listen to me. Your life can be so much happier. You've done all that work to be a happier human being. Maybe allow yourself the happiness of feeling like you belong. Because you do belong, even if you're different. Even if you've been told over and over again you're unique and a unicorn. You have a place here, and you have the ability to connect here. Maybe start stepping into it. All right, pile number 3, that was your reading. If you want to book me for a private reading, there is a link to my website in the description box down below, attherisingmoon.com. It's the only way to book me. Don't forget to look for my podcast, Logical Magic, Examining Esoterica. Tie off this last remaining familial thing. I almost get the feeling that you're like, the way I will be doing it differently is I'm a happy person by myself. Sure, but like there's still more happiness to be had in this existence. And it does come from allowing yourself to have things like friends and maybe even lovers again. Okay? Take care. Be well.